Hi, I'm Greg, also known as the world's worst photographer, or world's worst amateur photographer anyway. And I made my first YouTube video last week. It was called Where's the Forest Number 2. It was a trip in the woods to take some pictures of trees to demonstrate the idea that you can't see the forest because of the trees. I don't know whether I succeeded in doing that or not, but I had fun being out there with my wife and enjoying God's little creation. But a friend of mine called after he viewed the video, and he asked the question, "Why are you doing this?" And I really didn't have an answer. His question was framed in kind of a what I was doing was a silliness. And so I had to think about just why am I doing this? Why would anybody want to look at my poor quality pictures? That was the real question he was asking. And I think it goes back to something C.S. Lewis said several years ago. He said, "We read to know that we're not alone." And I think YouTube and Facebook and internet news and all this sort of thing is our new book, and we need something like what I'm doing as an amateur, as a poor quality amateur, so that you'll know that you're not alone. If your pictures aren't satisfying, if your pictures aren't high quality, you need to know that you're not the only one out there that's taking lousy pictures, and that the best you can hope for is a good snapshot. And we all know that snapshots aren't really pictures that you, high quality pictures that you want to hang over your fireplace to show all your friends. And I've been taking pictures for, well, longer than I want to say. Started back in the 60s in high school camera club. And a friend of mine and I used to go out and shoot pictures along a river, Rock River in Illinois, and we had a lot of fun doing it, but there was never anything there that was worthy of competition. But I wasn't frustrated, and I've been taking pictures ever since. I've had all kinds of cameras. My first really good camera after the Brownie Hawkeye was a Kodak Retina 4. And I don't know whether you're familiar with the Retina 4 or not, but it was, at the time, back in the 60s, a high quality camera. It had Synchro Compure shutter and Snyder Kruzak lenses. And those are the same shutter and lenses that were found on a Hasselblad, which back then was top end and probably still is today. So it was a good camera. It wasn't a single lens reflex. It was a film camera, 35mm, and I wasted a lot of film, a lot of pictures that went into a big box never to be looked at again. But it didn't frustrate me. And you need to know that being an amateur photographer doesn't have to be a competition. Being an amateur photographer, you don't need to be challenging other people's photographs, and you don't have to allow people to challenge your photographs. When you do that, it spoils the fun. And it's all about the fun and enjoyment of getting in the outdoors. It's as Doug Gardner says, it's the experience that counts. So for me, F8 and being there, I think is a good slogan. F8 to me is the equipment and the process, and it only amounts to about 10% of the experience. Being there is what is most important. It's being there with my wife, being away, experiencing the peace, being away from the worldly confrontations, the worldly news. So the equipment, and I've got a lot of equipment. I've got, you know, compared to professionals, I don't have much equipment, but for an amateur, I think I'm doing pretty well. I probably spent over $3,000 on equipment, and I still don't have great pictures. And I've got a Canon Rebel T3i here that I've had for about 4 years. I bought it right before they came out with the T4i, but I understand that that's okay. The 4 wasn't that much better than the 3, but and I've got, I don't know, 3 or 4 lenses besides the one that's on the camera right now. I think this is a 50mm lens. I've got one of those big long Sigma 1:600 zoom lenses, and I've taken a few pictures, and some of them have been pretty good. There's a picture I'm particularly proud of right there. Is it a high quality picture? No, it's not a high quality picture, but it was a picture I took at about 30 yards with a 300mm lens, handheld, with my Canon T3i, and it's a kingbird catching a bug in midair. I got lucky. At least you can tell what it is. So for me, that's great. And there's a few other bird pictures I've taken in here that are pretty good. Another one that I particularly like is this one of the crow. And it kind of reminds me of Edgar Allan Poe's poem about the raven. And it has that kind of a macabre look to it. Yeah, I was pretty happy with that picture. That was taken on the fly. I shot that at handheld 600mm at about 75 yards. So it was a good picture. It was a f7 at 1/1000th. ISO was 400 on that picture. And yeah, do I lay this book on the coffee table so all my friends can look at it? Nah, not really. I don't think they want to look at it, but I enjoy it. It's and that's what it's all about for me. And it was being there to take those pictures, being there to see the crow, being there to see the kingbird catch the bug. That's what it's all about. Pictures are only a poor reminder of the reality of the beauty of the experience. And that's where we need to live as amateurs. That's where we need to be as non-professionals. You know, F8, the equipment, is only the reason for going. It's the process. And it's only about 10%. It's the process of doing. That was my phone, sorry. Another one of those earthly distractions. But F8 is only the process of doing. It's the purpose is found in being there and enjoying the journey. So that's why I made my first video, and I hope you enjoy it, and I hope that you will leave comments as you see my videos, and that you'll subscribe to my channel, because I'm going to do this a lot more. Even if nobody looks at it, I'm going to do it a lot more, because I know there's people out there who share my frustration that after all these years of taking pictures, all I have is a big box full of snapshots. But there's still a great amount of enjoyment to be found in looking at remembering at the experience. Remembering the experience of taking those pictures. So subscribe to my channel and leave your comments and talk about my pictures and give me some hints for improvement. That's fine. I appreciate that. You don't need to be negatively critical, but you can leave comments about how they could be improved, and those would be appreciated. So from now on, keep the shutter clicking.